Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Inicia.
And Dorker Strange.
And I know it's been almost a year, I would say at this point, but Wishlist is back.
And we are nothing but punctual. All day, every day.
If we were punctual, I would have waited actually a year for the next video.
True.
But this is the video where we play in some demos from Steam, sometimes from Steam Next Fest, and seeing what we would like to add to our wish list and what we would like to just pass along and never look at it again and shame the developers. I'm joking.
She's not.
No, in reality, it is making a game is such a huge accomplishment. As somebody who's learning right now, Godot, Jesus Christ, guys, just the fact that you made a demo is already worth of a statue. I'm not gonna lie.
This is so terrifying, and you know what vibe it gives?
What?
It gives the vibe of my recent stream of Barbie when I put my face in the picture on Barbie. I hope you include it in the video.
I will 100%.
Because this gives the same vibe.
So the demo that I chose that I've heard about is Children of Saturn, and it's pretty short. It's just 10-minute demo for this new game that apparently I completely missed out, but apparently came out new PS1 haunted demo disc, and this was part of the collection on the itch.io. I downloaded the whole disc now. I'm ready to go through the whole thing. The game is a found footage game about this group of teens in modern timeline. It's, I think, the earliest memory we see from 2017 and the latest we see from 2023, sorry. We see them recording each other on this old ass camcorder. But we do take control of the camcorder. We can zoom in, we can move around. Different characters take control of the camera. So it's not just the main character who films it. Yeah, it's not chronological. In the bottom left corner, we see different dates. And I love that you can stitch together of what was happening when and what is happening before what. The footage is also broken by short clips of actual natural disasters. Stop, please.
So one dick was not enough for you. You put boobs too.
I'm gonna say, like, this is one of my favorite things in the demo. In the beginning, we use, like, this big billboard. They talk about, oh, do you remember this billboard that nobody uses? And you go there and you can spray paint whatever you want there. I wasn't mentally ready for such freedom. So I've made a pee-pee and a boobs. And also then through the demo a couple of times, you're gonna see us coming back to that billboard. It's almost like, you know, I made that one mistake. I was indecisive. I didn't know what to do. I just drew a dick. And then, like,
I think you weren't developmentally ready for that. As in, you weren't mature enough to be tasked with this.
Yes. We're gonna see that billboard with my drawing on there. It just
good. Good.
It kept
as you should be shamed for it.
Yeah, it kept coming back and shaming me for that, like, again and again and again. As maybe you already noticed, the footage is broken by short clips and videos of actual natural disasters and fires that are happening everywhere around the US. I found it very interesting. The demo came out I think it came out a week after the fires that we had in Los Angeles. And the whole story is basically a slice of life about teenagers growing up during the, like, climate change and talking about how they don't know if, like, the world is still gonna be standing when they're gonna grow up. There's one scene where they're talking about how, like, how do you know this is not our best years of life? And most notably, the demo ends with main character looking back and their whole town burned down in one of the forest fires. But I'm gonna be honest, the demo felt very, like, heartbreaking. The whole vibe of it, the whole vibe of the world being on fire and you have to grow up in it. And you don't even know if you're gonna have any future. Well, like, parents are kind of, like, nagging you. Oh, you gotta work on this. You gotta do that. Meanwhile, you're not even sure if there's anything gonna be left for you in 5 years.
So typical Gen Z experience?
Basically. It's like horror of
I assume, as a younger millennial, I assume.
like that. Well, even as a younger millennial, that is your experience. You know, it's kind of looking.
Yeah, but I feel like it's worse for them.
It's much worse, 100%. But it's like, I think this game really captures that kind of existential horror that we are actually living through and trying to ignore it as much as we can. But yeah, like the music is fantastic. I think they used a lot of like local bands or small bands, because in the end they have like a list of bands that they featured in this demo, and it has this very much like suburban teens listening to local punk rock growing up.
How long is the demo?
The demo itself was around 10 minutes. It's, as I said, the demo pretty short, but it's very curated. Like, it's very directed demo, so you actually watch this. It's almost like a, I don't know, playable trailer. It gives you, like, the full idea what it's gonna be like. It gives you idea what it's like to play it. There are a lot of interactive places, so it's not just like you just move the camera and that's it. As you saw, like, you answer to the dialogues, you choose different answers. When you are doing the billboard, you actually go in there and you spray paint it yourself. You walk around in a lot of places, so it's not just moving the camera and like zooming in, zooming out.
Do you think there will be a choices matter type of situation?
I don't know. The demo felt very curated, I will say it like that. It felt like movie that was edited, that you feel part of the movie. It's not like a cutscene that you're watching, right? It's not like a 10-minute cutscene. You are part of the whole thing, but it is directed. So I'm not sure how much long-term your decision's gonna matter. Like, for me, I don't see the reason for it to be choices matter. I can see it being directed piece of media that's like maybe an hour long.
I also love how they put in like real life footage.
Yeah.
And because of the way that they stylized the game, it barely even looks like...
It doesn't pull you out of experience.
Yeah. I really love it.
I also, at the beginning, because like the game starts with a little bit of a warning. It's like, oh, the real life, like trigger warning, real life footage of natural disasters used. I was a little taken aback because I'm like kind of like, oh, you're using like real tragedy in your game, okay. But the way it's used, it hits it much closer to home, because it doesn't feel like it's exploitative. It feels like it's actually making a point about what we're living through right now. It's like, this is not just a game. This is the life. This is our life. This is what we're going through. And that's where you see the orange skies, because, you know, for those of you who listen who don't know, we live in Los Angeles, and one of the fires that they showed was the Burbank fire, and we lived pretty close to that one. We did go through couple of weeks of orange skies when there's like there is smoke everywhere, the skies are orange, it's hard to breathe, and yet you have to go on with your life. So I think it's
very real.
I think that's why like this game captured that feel so much of like going through mundane tasks and going through life as this like huge fire is happening literally outside of your house, like out of your window. There is this fire happening, and yet you still have to go to work. And experiencing it again, couple of months ago in January, having like, you know, going through this again in this game felt very real, and it really, really touched me. And I was like, I honestly, this is gonna be like day one purchase for me. I really want to play it. I want to stream it.
All right, we're gonna start with a Camilla classic. We're gonna start with Goblin Cleanup. I love my simulator games. I love my cleanup simulator games. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this, I was apprehensive because it's made on Unity. And as someone who... Well, it's just at this point, the genre of simulation has been so overrun by some lazy devs who would just download some assets, slap them together into something that resembles a game, and just put it up for people to buy. And it is very upsetting to me, because I have to sift through so many simulators to find a good one. And I must say that this game proved me wrong. This is a great game. So if I was to explain this game in one sentence, I would say this is Viscera Cleanup, but make it cozy. And I'm going to be referring Viscera Cleanup detail a lot in this video because it is very reminiscent. You can clearly see that that was the main inspiration. You have this cleanup company, like you're a goblin maid, and you go to castles where some things went down and you're cleaning it up. So we have, the usual put everything back together, clean up all of the blood splatters.
I feel so bad for the slimes.
So let's start with, so how do we clean up the blood and stuff, right? So instead of the usual like bucket and water, we have slimes. And first of all, they are the cutest thing ever. You pull the lever of this machine and it spits out a few slimes, you put them on your mop and you're mopping away. One of the great things about it is that they have a great indicator for when your mop is too dirty. Because it starts with the slime on your mop having a very cheery face. Then it turns into like a medium face, and when it's dirty and you're just gonna make even more mess, it turns into this like, deceased. And like it makes a sound as well, so you don't miss it. Comparison to Viscera Cleanup, definitely an improvement. If I had a penny for every time my mop got too dirty and I slapped blood all over the floor, man, I'd have a lot of pennies. And when you are done with the slime, so the disposal system is a mimic chest. So you come up to the mimic chest and you feed the mimic the slime. Now, you have to be careful around the mimic because you can very much be eaten by it and die if you come too close. But on the upside, you can actually pick up the mimic. You just have to go around him and go behind him and pick him up and actually use him as like a walking trash bag. So as you walk and you see all of the stuff that you need to throw away, you just like gobbles them up. Another thing that I like about this is the way you put everything back. There is a very good system of, not only does it show you where things belong so you don't have to wander around trying to figure out where everything goes, but also it has a very pleasant snapping into place system. Even if you throw an object, if it's close enough to where it's supposed to be, it is going to snap in place. So you don't need to be finicking around annoyingly.
Like the crime scene cleaner.
Yes. And the last item that you have is this little dragon thingy. So basically he's like a mana holder, and he is just used for kind of two types of items: to light torches, and also there are crystals in some places that activate certain things. Sometimes it's just to, lower the bars to get into another room. Sometimes it's to disable a security system. But yeah, you have this little dragon boy that collects this mana stuff. And another thing that is very reminiscent of Viscera Cleanup is the level of danger on the levels. So there are some security systems of these like eyeballs that can kill you. There is a lot of your regular like dungeon Indiana Jones like swinging axes and whatnot, but if you die, the good thing about this is, unlike Viscera Cleanup, you don't just finish. Across the level they have altars scattered, so when you activate an altar, that kind of counts as your checkpoint, so you just respawn in there.
Few questions that I have. One of them is, I think one of the things that can make or break a game like this is the level design. What do you think about level design, and specifically about like storytelling done through, the environmental storytelling? Because if it's all just the same looking dungeon style, I feel like it's gonna become stale very fast.
So in the demo, only one location was available, but you could see in the selection menu some of the other locations that would be available, and it does seem like there is very different type of story. It seems like there are several different bosses that will be available. And within each of those, there are many levels.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how, like, is it just gonna be visual design different, or if it's actually gonna feel different?
It definitely, even within, so basically, I guess I've played 3 floors that were available in the demo, and they were different. Even with the traps that you need to overcome to clean the place, it takes a while to figure out what you should take apart before you clean and what you should put together, because a trap can be disarmed and then you put it all back together, and that's when you figure out that you just created your own demise, because there is a wire there. I mean, you can try to jump over it, but you don't always succeed.
Yeah.
And before you know it, an arrow shoots you.
Nice.
And that's it. You're done. Also, what I forgot to mention, it has such a bomb-ass intro song. It is incredible.
Goblin Cleanup. Clean the dungeon before the heroes come. Don't die in a trap.
It's also, I saw online that you can play in co-op, so I feel like this is gonna be a fantastic co-op game.
And it is on Kickstarter right now, I believe.
Sweet.
Yeah, I cannot wait for this game to come out.
Alrighty, my second demo that I've chosen called Night is Coming, and it combined two things that tickle my pickle. It is a strategy game and it is Slavic. So when I saw it in the next game, was it Next Fest? I couldn't skip through it. I was like, I have to play this. It has very interesting plot. That is one of my little problems with this game, because the opening is a little too long and the narrator is a little too monotone for my liking. So my ADHD brain disconnected from it a couple of times. But we do play as a group of villagers who escaped, and every 4 days blood moon rises, and I think it's like I don't know, underworld undeads come in and attack us and try to kill us, and yada yada, all of that stuff. To summarize the whole thing, this is Slavic Age of Mythology, because besides building and resource gathering and figuring out that stuff, you have magic that you can use. You do have like spell casting, you do have this magical creatures. The only thing, I wish we could create magical creatures. You know how in Age of Mythology you can have like Titan or something like that. We started 7 settlers. Every 4 nights there's an attack. At night, sometimes ghosts come in. You cannot attack ghosts unless you're gonna pray or you have a bonfire in the middle of the village. Otherwise, they just go and they just depress your villagers, and your villagers don't want to do anything because they've been possessed by ghosts. There is a lot of interesting things in this game, and the truth is, I've played the demo for an hour and a half. I was like, I'm gonna give it a try, and then I checked and I was like, oh god, it's been an hour and a half since I played. Of course, also my first play, I tried it, I played, I failed at everything. You know me, I don't play tutorial, I go straight into the game. So, first time, everybody died.
It's your funeral, yeah. Well, I guess it's their funeral.
It's their funeral, yeah. First time I did it, everybody died, everyone was God. Second time, I played for like hour and something. But, that being said, for me personally, there are a lot of troubles in this game. One of them is a lot of micromanagement. So when you try to get resources, let's say for example if we play Age of Mythology or Age of Empires, how do you gather wood? You put a forester's shack or whatever, and you set up that few of your settlers are gonna be lumberjacks, and they're gonna go and they're gonna automatically get your wood. In here, you need to manually click on every single resource. So you have a special button where you designate that it's like, oh, here are the like berry bushes, so please go and take berries from those 2 bushes for now. This is 2 trees that I want you to take down. But that's not where the problem comes in. The problem comes in where you need to actually create more stuff, like stone blocks or wooden planks or firewood, because you need to, and it took me a little bit to figure out, and I also went on Steam discussions, and so there were a lot of people for whom it also took a while to figure it out. But in order for you to order, for example, make stone blocks out of stone, you need to right click on workbench, then choose workbench menu, and in there order 3 stone blocks, and then like your settler's gonna go and do that, which for me personally feels like way too much micromanagement in a game like this.
It's a little like Banished, but more micromanaging.
Yeah, Banished, you still could really automate a lot of things. You can say,
Yeah.
like,
So with the wood, I have a question.
Yes.
Does it maybe work like Age of Empires, where if you select to chop down like 1 or 2 trees, they would just, after they ran out of those trees that you selected, they would just continue
No.
chopping down trees?
No, they will chop only what you selected. And part of that is because it actually connected to the forest vengeance mechanic. Meaning that you are in this forest, there are forest spirits. When you take a certain amount of resource from the forest, you can see in top right corner, you see like forest vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
When it gets to 100, you have magical creatures coming in from the forest attacking you every
That's
8
kind of
hours.
cool.
And you need to go.
So
and
it's basically you need to give as much as you take.
No, you need to go and destroy a layer.
Oh.
I wish it was more, because I found few
I
totems.
thought that you would put trees to grow.
That's
to, like,
what I
balance it out.
assumed. Yes, but no. It was literally just that. But I found few idols, and you can actually give idols like specific resources. It just every time I did it, they rejected my sacrifice and gave me nothing in return, so I said whatever. But I assumed that also works this way. You can also give some kind of like, oh, here's 20 berries to the god of the forest, so like, please forgive me. That kind of stuff happening. But I like that you have to be very mindful of what you do and what kind of resources you do. I loved the music, although I had trouble with music disappearing from time to time. It seemed to be randomly. I later figured out that I think when there's danger, music plays, but then also there's almost no music when there's a peaceful time. I don't know, maybe it's a bug on my side, but that's just how it felt for me. But my main concern, my main issue is micromanagement and UI in this game. UI is a little clunky. I wish there was an easier way to get to certain things like resources and production of I want to call sub resources, right? Like planks and firewood. I wish there was like a way to actually do it besides right clicking on the workbench and then clicking on it again. There's also for me problem with balance. When you have 2 little warriors, so when you have only 2 warriors, they have their ass kicked literally by everyone. That's it. You just, whatever you do, their ass is getting kicked by literally every single creature. At some point I got 4 warriors and they were destroying everything. So there was like, it felt like there was a little bit broken balance in that. I felt there was a lack of different buildings that you can get. So you can use, when you kill creatures, you get those black crystals from them, and you can use those crystals to promote, like to level up and upgrade different technologies. I think crystals are for fighting, for warriors. And then if you see on top left corner, there's like, I call it faith. I don't remember what exactly it's called in the game. You can use that to upgrade a lot of different buildings for like farms and hunting grounds and all that, which I liked it. It just, at a lot of times, it felt a little clunky and felt like I had to wait for way too long to upgrade. And I think because of that, there is a very limited amount of buildings that you can have. Basically, it is very early access. For me right now, I don't think I'm gonna wishlist the game the way it is. However, I'm gonna be honest, I want to see what is gonna happen to this after the early access, because for me, the aesthetic of it, the ideas that are in this game, it's very interesting. I really want to see where it's gonna go further, because everything that I just talked about, UI and micromanagement and balance, is something that you do polish in early access, especially balance, in my opinion. So I do have like high hopes for the game. I wish nothing but good luck to the devs, and I'm excited to try out the full version.
Alright, for my second game, I chose another very typical Camilla choice, a cooking game. But this is not a typical cooking game that I personally would play. Like, as I said, I love my simulators, and this is more of a puzzle type of situation. So this game is called Finely Diced, and the pun being about, the dice, the ones that you throw. And basically, the way that this game works is that you have certain chefs, which are represented as unfolded dice, that you can move on this grid. So basically, the game has two stages: the prep stage and the actual playing a level stage. So in the prep stage, you have your chef die, and you have your ingredients, and basically you move them around the board in such a way to get a layout for which dice and which dishes you're going to have during your level. So for example, if you have like each ingredient means separate dish or separate action. So once you've prepared everything, you go into the second stage, which is the cooking, and you have a certain orders come in. I'm not quite sure how. I think it's a fixed thing of you have 8 rounds at most each level, but basically, yeah, you have orders come in based on those ingredients and what type of a action they have, and you're just basically you're rolling a die. The number of dice that you're rolling depends on the number of chefs that you have. So in the beginning, having only one chef, you're rolling 1 die, and on the right side, it also shows you all of the possible orders that you can have coming in, as well as which numbers you have programmed in the prep stage to come out. So an order comes in, you roll a dice, each order, sometimes an order would be like, oh, you can only have this number or that number here. Sometimes it'd be like, oh, it can be any number, but it must be 2 consecutive numbers. Sometimes it must be a matching number. And that is like the little puzzle that you need to solve in both the prep stage and in the actual cooking stage. Plus, there are side missions that you can complete, like cleaning and stuff, and it'll show, oh, you just need to roll a 2, right? Yeah, it's one of those games that is easy to learn and hard to master. And of course, it gets more difficult as you go. You keep getting new ingredients. Once in a while, you need to hire a new chef, so you get a new die. And basically, the only way you can lose is that each week you need to pay your bill. I don't know, rent. It says here bill. I will think of it as rent. And if you do not have that amount of money by the end of the week, you lose. Other than that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you messed up your orders during the gameplay or something like that. Sometimes there are certain requirements that actually require you to mess up an order. But yeah, it's a little too complicated for me. Like my brain is not wired to talk about these types of games. But I really wanted to share it.
So do you like program your die, for lack of better term? When you put in ingredients, do you set up like what kind of numbers are gonna be on those dice?
Yes. So this is basically how it goes. All of these ingredients have a certain grid, and also when 2 numbers interlap, so you have one ingredient that's 1, they add up, so you create another number out of them. So that is all of the things for you to keep in mind. And as you have a certain list of things, as I said, for the ingredients, as you can see on the right, it tells you, okay, so these are the events that would happen, and you can plan the number of dice that you're going to use accordingly. It's also very clean, bright, simple design to not distract you from this already like very thinking heavy concept. And also, I really like the music. I really like the soundtrack. Somehow they managed to make a very not overbearing, but also not repetitive enough when it's annoying soundtrack that also kind of resembles the sounds that you would hear in the kitchen. You know, chopping or someone searing something in the pan. It's really meditative.
Mm-hmm.
And really enjoyable. But yeah, I love this game. I cannot wait for it to come out. I feel like I would sing in a way. You know what? I just realized it triggers. You know, the way that you can play for hours Balatro. I feel like I would play this for hours.
Yeah, I can see that. This for me has like a vibe of. You're gonna laugh at this. It gives me a vibe of the dice game that you have in the Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Sure.
Because I love playing that dice. I spent like so much time there. Like, it does take a little bit to get used to. I don't want to say controls, but like to the game design of the game.
Yes.
But once it clicks,
but the tutorial is really good though, because like looking at it is one thing, but playing it is another. And like the tutorial, I feel like is really good because. With a game like this, it's very easy for me to get confused and be like, no, that's it, I'm turning it off. But the tutorial really is not very long, and it takes its time to introduce every concept one by one, so that you're like, oh, okay, I got the basics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really like that on Steam, they have a very clear roadmap of what to expect. I don't know if you saw, but they're in private beta test. They're focus right now is to get early access in August, to get an overhaul in September, and have a release in December.
Hell yeah, I can't wait.
So I'm happy. It seems to be very organized, especially for a puzzle game. I'm happy to see that it is organized. Fire, I was going to ask you if it's a wish list, but then when I was looking at the page on Steam, I saw that you already wishlisted it.
Yeah. As soon as I played it, I wishlisted it. And the demo actually is still up. You can play it.
Alrighty, if you enjoyed Wishlist, please leave it a like, subscribe to the channel. We do stream on Twitch. I stream on Twitch, Sinicia.
And I am Dorker_Strange everywhere.
And feel free to comment if you have any demos that you would like us to see, any specific genres that you would like to see us testing out next time, and hopefully we're not going to be gone for a year for the next one.
Hopefully!
But no promises.
Hey, I already have like 10 demos that I could talk about right now. Okay, not 10.
Oh no.
9. I can turn it on right now. Let's go. Let's continue.
I have the PS1 haunted demo disc, so I'm excited to do this one. Alrighty, see you later, alligator.
Bye, Noel Crocodile.